The Japanese instrument of surrender was the written agreement that formalized the surrender of the Empire of Japan, marking the end of World War II. It was signed by representatives from the Empire of Japan, the United States of America, the Republic of China, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the Commonwealth of Australia, the Dominion of Canada, the Provisional Government of the French Republic, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and the Dominion of New Zealand. The signing took place on the deck of USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay on September 2, 1945. The date is sometimes known as Victory over Japan Day, although that designation more frequently refers to the date of Emperor Hirohito's Gyokuon-hōsō, the radio broadcast announcement of the acceptance of the terms of the Potsdam Declaration at noon Japan Standard Time on August 15. Surrender Ceremony. The ceremony aboard the deck of the Missouri lasted 23 minutes and was broadcast throughout the world. The instrument was first signed by the Japanese Foreign Minister Mamoru Shigemitsu by command and on behalf of the Emperor of Japan and the Japanese government. General Yoshijiro Umezu, Chief of the Army General Staff, then signed the document by command and on behalf of the Japanese Imperial General Headquarters signed. At 9:08 a.m., U.S. General of the Army Douglas MacArthur, the commander in the Southwest Pacific and Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers, accepted the surrender on behalf of the Allied Powers and signed in his capacity as Supreme Commander. After MacArthur's signature as Supreme Commander, the following representatives signed the instrument of surrender on behalf of each of the Allied Powers: Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz for the United States, General Xu Yongchang for China, Admiral Sir Bruce Fraser for the United Kingdom, Lieutenant General Kuzma Dyaredvarenko for the Soviet Union, General Sir Thomas Blamey for Australia, Colonel Lawrence Moore Koshgrave for Canada, Gar Copyright Na Copyright Raoul de Cordama Copyright E Philippe Leclerc de Horticlock for France, Lieutenant Admiral C.E.L. Helfrich for the Netherlands, Air Vice Marshal Leonard M. Isitt for New Zealand. On September 6, Colonel Bernard Thielen took the document and an imperial rescript to Washington, D.C., and presented them to President Harry S. Truman in a formal White House ceremony the following day. The documents were then exhibited at the National Archives. Flags at the ceremony. The deck of the Missouri was furnished with 2 American flags. A commonly heard story is that one of the flags had flown over the White House on the day Pearl Harbor was attacked. However, Captain Stuart Murray of USS Missouri explained, "At 80 unregistered trademark clock we had hoisted a clean set of colors at the mainmast and a clean Union Jack of the United States at the bow as we were at anchor, and I would like to add that these were just regular Schipa unregistered trademark S flags, GI issue, that we unregistered trademark D pulled out of the spares, nothing special about them, and they had never been used anywhere so far as we know, at least they were clean and we had probably gotten them in Guam in May. So there was nothing special about them." Some of the articles in the history say this was the same flag that was flown on the White House or the National Capitol on December 7, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and at Casablanca, and so forth. Also MacArthur took it up to Tokyo and flew it over his headquarters there. The only thing I can say is they were hard up for baloney, because it was nothing like that. It was just a plain ordinary GI issue flag and a Union Jack. We turned them both into the Naval Academy Museum when we got back to the East Coast in October. The only special flag that was there was a flag which Commodore Perry had flown on his ship out in that same location 82 years before. The actual number of years was 92. It was flown out in its glass case from the Naval Academy Museum. An officer messenger brought it out. We put this hanging over the door of my cabin, facing forward, on the surrender deck so that everyone on the surrender deck could see it. That special flag on the veranda deck of the Missouri had been flown from Commodore Matthew Perry's flagship in 1853-54 when he led the U.S. Navy's Far East Squadron into Tokyo Bay to force the opening of Japan's ports to foreign trade. MacArthur was a direct descendant of the New England Perry family and cousin of Commodore Matthew Perry. Photographs of the signing ceremony show that this flag is displayed backward reverse side showing. This was because American flags on the right of an object plane, ship, or person have the stars on the upper right corner, to look like the flag is heading into battle, as if attached to a pole and someone is carrying it. Stars in the upper left of a flag displayed on the right side of the object would make the flag look like it was going away from battle. The cloth of the historic flag was so fragile that the conservator at the U.S. Naval Academy Museum directed that a protective backing be sewn on it, leaving its wrong side visible. And this was how Perry's 31-star flag was presented on this unique occasion. A replica of this historic flag can be seen today on the surrender deck of the battleship Missouri Memorial in Pearl Harbor. This replica is also placed in the same location on the bulkhead of the veranda deck where it had been initially mounted on the morning of September 2, 1945, by Chief Carpenter Frederick Miletish. The original flag is still on display at the Naval Academy Museum, as is the table and tablecloth upon which the instrument of surrender was signed, and the original bronze plaque marking the location of the signing. Text. Differences between versions. The Japanese copy of the treaty varied from the Allied in the following ways. The Allied copy was presented in leather and gold lining with both countries' seals printed on the front, whereas the Japanese copy was bound in rough canvas with no seals on the front. The Canadian representative, Colonel Lawrence Moore Cosgrave, signed below his line instead of above it on the Japanese copy, so everyone after him had to sign one line below the intended one. This was attributed to Colonel Cosgrave being blind in one eye from a World War I injury. When the discrepancy was pointed out to General Sutherland, he crossed out the pre-printed name titles of the Allied nations and rewrote by hand the titles in their correct relative positions. The Japanese initially found this alteration unacceptable until Sutherland initialed each alteration. The Japanese representatives did not complain further. Current locations. The Allied copy of the instrument is at the United States National Archives building in Washington, D.C. The Japanese version can be viewed at the Edo Tokyo Museum in Tokyo. As witnesses, American General Jonathan Wainwright, who had surrendered the Philippines, and British Lieutenant General Arthur Percival, who had surrendered Singapore, received 2 of the 6 pens used by General MacArthur to sign the instrument. Another pen went to the West Point Military Academy, and 1 to MacArthur's aide. All of the pens used by MacArthur were black, except the last, which was plum-colored and went to his wife. A replica of it, along with copies of the instrument of surrender, is in a case on Missouri by the plaque marking the signing spot. The model of the USS Missouri in the National Museum of the United States Navy at the Washington Navy Yard, has a scale replica of the signing table in the correct location. Gallery. See also, Cairo Declaration, Potsdam Declaration, General Order No. 1, Surrender of Japan, Retrocession Day, Victory over Japan Day, List of Allied ships at the Japanese surrender, Post-war, Occupied Japan, Japanese holdout, Treaty of San Francisco, Treaty of Taipei, Other Axis, German Instrument of Surrender, Treaty of Peace with Italy, 1947. Notes. External links. National Archives and Records Administration featured document, USS Missouri's Captain Stuart Murray interviewed about the surrender ceremony, ALSO's Digital Library Bibliography of references on Japan's surrender, Instrument of Surrender, Maritime Quest Japanese Surrender Pages, Procedure for Assembling on Veranda Deck, Admiral Halsey's Flag.